whatever you do, my friend, don't lose hope. Thank you to our final patrons, Straw Bones, Redwolf4765, and Midnight Gemlord. Now, before I'm doing this breakdown / review of chapter 76, I'm lying, chapter 86 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse. Please, if you leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also make sure you hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also I do have a page down below, you can support for as low as $1 a month. They give things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. Some of that early content and exclusive content being the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, let's hop into chapter 85's poll. So, last time I ended up asking y'all, with the revelation of the barrier of Camelot really being more suggestion than real force, considering every single partially human being can just stroll up in there without any problem, I wanted to know, considering we do have two very powerful, partially human, if not fully human beings just roaming about in Bond and Elizabeth, should they join along? Should they go for the ride and end up being part of the wonderful group of the Four Knights of the Apocalypse and the Percy platoon and the Tristan platoon? And with an overwhelming, juicy, girthy, fat 75% of the vote, the more the merrier. They're strong, they're human, why not? And admittedly, I agree, right? Mainly because I feel like Bond got done pretty dirty in the original series, at least at the end of it. Now, literally a majority of the original series. Like, bro was relevant in season 1, proceeded to not be relevant for a majority of the series, and then proceeded to get extremely nerfed right at the very end. So Bond was done undeniably dirty, so seeing him get some get back in one way or another in the modern day would be great. And Elizabeth, like, you want to talk about getting done dirty, like, she was barely done. That's the thing. She barely did anything in the original narrative other than heal people. And considering Tristan is curious about seeing his mom's title in action, you know, he did want to know about the Bloody Ellie just a little bit. I think this would be the perfect opportunity to see that. In spite of this, I can definitely understand the 25% of y'all that are like, wait, hold on. This isn't even their story anymore. Maybe they shouldn't be doing this. They should just stay at home chilling. They have the main realm to protect. There's no reason for them to dive in. And I can see this angle mainly because, once again, this isn't their story. And with what we have now, with the 2 platoons and the 4 knights, we do have a total of, let's see, the 4 knights, then the 3 members of the Percy platoon and the 3 members of the Tristan platoon. We do have 10 main characters at this point. Or at least 4 main characters. Technically 7, I would count the main Percy squad as main characters still at this point, and then all of the Percy platoon. So there definitely is some numbers stacked up in favor of the main cast, already having 10, and considering how the Seven Deadly Sins themselves in the original series didn't get that much balanced screen time as it was, NAKABA writing 10 main characters would be a lot, and even if we do have a lot of writing for Bond and Elizabeth already, 12 would be even more to handle. And I saw suggestions about even Gilthunder joining, which is true. It's entirely possible. He is not a demon. He is a doll. So 13 people for NAKABA to write all at one time with decent character arcs when we don't even fully understand how Camelot is going to work. Yeah, I don't think... I see why it wouldn't be possible, even though I think it would be the most logical thing to do. Because you do have viable combatants in every single area where the 2 missing leaders would be just fine with. Like, send King to guard the Fairy King's Forest in Benwick. Meliodas just stays in Leonis. He should still be stronger than Elizabeth anyway, and you're good. And let the demons stay in Leonis for a while. Everything's fine. But narratively, I understand the external reasons why it may not be too good to have 12 to 13 main characters to write for instead of just 10, and I highly doubt NAKABA's even going to competently write all 10. And this is not a doubt or like a jab at NAKABA's writing. I think the man, when he wants to write, he can write very well, but just knowing NAKABA off his previous track record with a large ensemble cast of multiple main characters, some will just get done better than others. It's just a law of nature at this point. That's not just a NAKABA thing. That's just a storytelling thing in general. So, thank you guys for participating in that poll. Make sure you get your input in on tomorrow's poll, dropping at 12 p.m. to make sure your input is included for next week's review. Now, let's hop into Chapter 86. What's up, guys? All the Pencil here, and here we are to do a review and breakdown of Chapter 86 of Four Nights of the which is known as jail. Alright, so I'm going to talk about the cover page, but I'm not going to show the cover page, because this, I was lucky to get away with showing Hagakuri's cover page from the Horikoshi debacle. This is even worse. NAKABA, why? And I'm sorry, you just can't justify this. This is weird. This is just weird. This is weird. It's nasty. It's disgusting. Like, even for my demons out there, because I know I've seen y'all in the comment section, and you know, I can't knock your hustle. You know, it be like this sometimes. But even for y'all demons, there's no reason Gwen should be on that cover. In that time period, she's still not of age. 4 years out. I can't think of anywhere modern on the current planet in our day and age where Gwen is of acceptable legal age. It's just weird. It's just extremely strange and extremely weird, and I don't know why NAKABA did that. The chapter's called Sprouts. That makes it even worse. These are like it. 100%. These are just children. I hate to say it. These are just children. Wholeheartedly. But Pencil, at the time period, I don't care. It's weird drawing them like that on a cover. Like, I know this isn't necessarily a kid's manga, but at the same time, dog, really? Like, dog, really? I don't know. It's the same thing I have to say to, I mean, it's not as bad. The reason I gave Horikoshi a whole ton of flack for the Hagakure thing is because it didn't even fit there. It was just random. It was random, unprecedented, nasty stuff, just like this. But, like, that was on the face of a really important chapter. Meanwhile, this is just random for the sake of random. And then, while I'll admit it fits the chapter's themes in case what the chapter's talking about, it's still weird. You did not have to draw them like this. It's just nasty. I don't know. I can't let NAKABA pass. I'm not going to give Horikoshi a pass. I'm not going to give NAKABA a pass. You're both weird. In, like, the worst way possible. Both amazing mangaka who created amazing characters, amazing stories, and amazing artwork that I love to this day. But golly gee willikers, y'all are just weird. In the worst kind of way. Ugh. But regardless, let's hop into the chapter itself. So we open up, and we do get to see that the Donner, I don't know why, Donny on the break. But as we open up, we do get to see that a woman is telling two people to come again. And these two people are Anne and Percival. And they are enjoying this cake. And admittedly, Anne is eating it in a very weird way. Like, who bites out of a slice of cake like that? Is it apple cake or is it apple pie? I don't know. But regardless, the cake is extremely yummy to Anne, to the point where she has fangs that is just munching on it atrociously. But the way she took a bite out of it is just weird. Like, do y'all eat cake like that? I'm not here to judge, but like, why do you bite the back end of it? Like, how are you even holding it with the contents not falling out? Like, then again, I use a fork and knife usually to eat pie and or cake, unless it's like blank apple. I'm not sponsored, so I'm not gonna say the name, but you know which apple pie I'm talking about. That's just like for your hand, but that does not look like, that looks like a slice of apple pie or a slice of cake. You don't grab it by the front like that, and you weirdo. And you're a noble, you should know better. But regardless, that's not even the most interesting thing about the panel. It's Percy the food connoisseur. Like, when did bro get this intelligent? Are the mini Percys rubbing off on him? Is that what's happening here? Because there's no way bro is like, yes, I see. The apple's sourness and sweetness plus the soft dough parts are the best parts. And he has this like deep like he has a hand behind his back. He looks so calm, old, wise, and inquisitive. Like, sure, he may be spitting. I'm not sure how good the cake is or pie is or whatever. But regardless, I'm shocked Percy knows a word like sourness. Sweetness, yeah, but sourness? Like, bro, the vocabulary boost, the mental boost, the analytical boost? Like, bro, what? Percy's a genius when it comes to food, I suppose. But with that being the case, apparently Anne demands that Percy remember this place so they can stop by anytime they need some more cake. And we see, I don't fully get it. I really don't. Like, this is just a weird thing. Wait, there's a star there. I'm not sure. Because Anne says, "Hey Percival, could you remember this cake so we can have some anytime we stop here?" And then Percy says, "But then our bags would be totally stuffed with cooking utensils, wouldn't they?" And then Anne goes, "Oh, I'm just confused. Maybe Percy misinterpreted Anne's statement. Maybe Anne misinterpreted Percy. Maybe it's just a mistranslation." One of the rare non-scaling related things that I want to see properly translated in the volumes. Because I don't know, that interaction just made absolutely no sense to me. But with that being the case, we see that Anne and Percy are indeed alone. It's something that is highlighted, obviously, but wondering why they're gone. Like, Anne didn't even realize that Donny and Nasiens, the goat, have left. And with that being the case, we get to see that Nasiens went all the way back to Hendrickson to be like, "Hey, sorry, can't produce free product for you. You got to make that stuff on your own." And I wonder how Hendrickson reacted here. Like, notably, obviously, he probably doesn't mind too much, but he was pretty adamant about Nasiens, one, not being strong enough, and two, being a useful asset to the clinic. So I feel like he did not take this too lightly. But it's Hendrickson. He's a calm, cool guy. Like, I highly doubt he's going to be like, "No, you'll never leave this place, Nasiens." I almost about to call him Nasiens Kurosuchi. Wrong series. But with that being, there's not even a Nasiens anywhere in Bleach. But with that being the case, we also get to see that the Donners is going to his grandparents to tell them the truth. He went to pay respects to them. And with that being the case, like, I will say this, I feel bad for Donnie's parents, right? Because this is their only grandson. As far as we know, unless Hauser secretly has a kid somewhere off the line, or Donnie has a sibling we haven't met somehow, then this is literally the last of their bloodline. Hauser seems like he's not going to be getting any women anytime soon, unless they have no hope in him, and their supposed only other daughter, unless they have another son or daughter off screen that I secretly didn't know about somehow, their one and only daughter is also gone. Donnie's the last of their kin. And of course, they're proud. They would be proud of Donnie becoming a holy knight. That's a very highly regarded and high-ranked position within their kingdom. So of course, I'm assuming they're proud of him. You can even see with their happy smiles. But I assume somewhere on a deeper level, they're scared. They're worried. Like any grandparent would be. Like, they probably were under the influence of Arthur too. Assumingly everyone in the kingdom was. So with that being the case, they realized the kind of threats that their grandson's going off to face. They already had to worry about Hauser when he became the great holy knight and was leading torrents upon torrents of people into battle against the demon clan. And now a threat greater than the demon clan could ever be, really, with the might of chaos itself on their side, is what their grandchild, their only grandchild, the last of their kin, is going to run at. And they probably don't even know where Hauser is, considering he, is Hauser. I don't know, I feel like they don't necessarily appear that much. I think they have literally 3 appearances total in the entire narrative. But still, these characters are sadly tragic. Do I think Donnie's going to get packed? No. I think it's going to be Nasiens' job. So I think they will be fine in the end, but the implications and what they may be thinking and going through, I think it's nice to touch upon that. However, with that being the case, Percy goes on to say that, hey, speaking of, if Donnie's paying respects to his family, and Nasiens is going and talking to somebody who isn't his family, and shouldn't you tell your father you became a holy knight? Wasn't that your big old dream? And apparently, with that being the case, Anne says no. He'd tell me to come straight home once I finish my duty. Yeah, that's what he sent you out to do. Like, that was before you even became a holy knight. What's the problem here, Anne? Like, you don't want to let your dad know, like, this is your big life achievement. You were made a holy knight. I would run to tell my dad immediately. But with that being the case, I guess Anne's just afraid of leaving the gang, which is, it's cool. It's nice. Like I said, Anne is a character who slowly but surely is making her way up the ranks. Is she? I still like Donnie more. And I still like Nasiens more. She may be better than Percival. Is that bad to say? Regardless, with that being the case, we see that with that confirmation, Percival's like, wow, if that's the case, then I really want to go on an adventure with you guys today, even right now. But finally, Anne brings up something I've been waiting for ever. Legitimately, it's been over half the series. Anne says, didn't Sir Meliodas say that it would take until tomorrow to prepare our new clothes and equipment? New clothes? New equipment? Hallelujah! Thank you. You guys are running around in PJs. I'm glad that you finally are getting new clothes and new equipment. However, with that being the case, we do get to see that Anne... Yo, can I say that word? I'm not going to say the word. Can I say it? I'm not going to say it. But Anne, you know... She wants the demons to get off her front lawn, if you know what I'm saying. No. But she does say, come to think of it, I was surprised. To think the king of the human nation is also the king of the demons who once fought humans. But, and, with that being the case, like, Anne? Broski. You know, like, not all demons are the same, just like not all humans are the same. And while admittedly, Meliodas did fight against the humans. Specifically, ironically, you know what? The craziest thing is about all of this is that Meliodas and the Demon Clan almost made the right move. Like, they were so close to being... Like, if Kath just didn't send Merlin that SOS, we would not have Four Knights of the Apocalypse. Whether you think that's a good or a bad thing is up to you, but we wouldn't have had Four Knights of the Apocalypse. If Chandler and Cusack actually managed to put Arthur in that pack that they're trying to put him in, man, and like, I mean a thorough pack. Like, notably, Cusack just put the blade through Arthur, but that just helps him awaken to the Chaos King later. I'm talking about, like, light that boy on fire when he didn't awaken his magic yet. Maybe we would be good. But, like, Anne, you do realize that Meliodas... I mean, I'm still a little bit confused on the idea that not everyone knows Meliodas is a demon. Like, I feel like this should be common knowledge at this point. But then again, once again, they did raise out in the booties. They were far, far away. And with that being the case, we see that Percy is bringing up the Carfax. He's like, hey, yo, chill out, you raging blank. Meliodas is a good guy. I heard he fought on the human side in the Holy War. And it's like, maybe he did, but a demon is still a filthy... tax-stealing, disgusting, soul-munching, absolutely abhorrent creature, you know? Like, he looked nothing like his wanted poster. Like, and, one, he would never look like his wanted poster, even if he was a human, because that wanted poster is 32 years old. For one. For one, if he was a human, and he did look like his wanted poster, he would probably be old and gray. He would look like, ironically enough, he would look like Bartra. Maybe Bartra in the original series, or Bartra, like, assumedly, let's say Meliodas was in his 20s at that point, he would look like Bartra in the original series, essentially. But with that being the case, Anne, you need to tell us something? Like, do you just not like, are you going to become one of Arthur's servants? Like, are you and Lance just going to be like, a hop, a skip, a jump, Arthur? Like, because you're exhibiting some anti-other species tendency. Maybe Arthur got to you a little bit more than I thought he did. With that being the case, Percy ends up bringing up a Carfax. Like, here's the thing. What Percy says here reignites the heated internal debate I've been having, and the debate I've mentioned on and off here. Because Percy, at the reveal that his love interest may not like the other species too much, may want them to get off his lawn, stop stealing their jobs, and stop taking their tax money. Percy goes on to say, so if I turned out to not be human, would you hate me? And Percy... NAKABA. Let me skip the darn character, because this isn't even about the character. NAKABA. I thought you already said he was human. I thought we already went over this. I thought it was confirmed in Q&A and the series, everything. I thought he was already human. Why are you bringing up something like this? It may just be circumstantial. You know, NAKABA, sometimes he likes to throw in things. Like, reasonably, the whole Elizabeth not showing her eyes thing, entirely circumstantial. There, at least until we get a reveal of something that was secretly held, even though we just saw her eyes. All that time that NAKABA spent showing her without showing us her eyes repeatedly was just a red herring plotline that is going nowhere. Like, we thought maybe it was being hidden for something for Cursed by Light, but Cursed by Light not Cursed by Light. Grudge of Edinburgh. Someone told me I said that wrong, but whatever. They never gave me the phonetic spelling. But with that being the case, unless it was hiding something for... But that doesn't even make sense. Because I don't even think Grudge of Edinburgh is out in Japan. not even talk of the States. So I don't think there's necessarily a reason for Elizabeth's eyes to be covered other than to bait us. And then we just got nothing out of that plot line. So maybe this is another case of that, where Naka was like, hey, doesn't it seem strange that Percy, the human, seems to have so many different powers and abilities and ooh and ah? But actually it doesn't mean anything. He's just a regular dude that happened to be super lucky. Like, is that just the case? Because that could be the case. It could just be Nakaba just, like, throwing out another red herring, as he's known to do. But I don't know. It seems a little bit sussy. Seems a little bit sussy, if you were to ask me. But with that being the case, and with Percival asking if he's sussy, and it's like, Percival, you're... if you're not human, you're one of the good ones. I don't know why I'm characterizing Anne as this raging blank, but still... I don't know, it's just the distrust of Meliodas all of a sudden out of nowhere, just because he didn't age. Just because bro is chilling. Which does make me wonder. I think I mentioned this before. I wonder if Zeldris and Meliodas are even fully grown. Like, if their lifespan is even a fraction of their father's, like an 100th of their father's. The Demon King was over 1 billion years old. So, maybe they aren't even fully grown yet. I wouldn't be shocked if they aren't. So, Anne, you weren't getting that Meliodas that you saw in that one poster for eternity. And we see that Anne declares that she does declare that Percy's one of the good ones, and says whether you're ordinary or not, you're still you, which is essentially an indication that, yeah, it doesn't matter if Percy's secretly an experiment performed by Merlin to combine all 5 races into one individual being, which caused his stunted growth, but explains his almost chaotic levels of power in terms of diversity and ability. No, that's not a theory, but if that ends up being the case, I will hurl. But with that being the case, Percy being so happy that he's one of the good ones, not like those filthy tax steal. I'm sorry, I gotta stop. But with that being the case, with Percy being established as one of the good ones, he tackles Anne from behind, grabs her around the waist, and says, "I love you, Anne." And while in any other context with any other character, this would be a lot more impactful, it being Percy obviously means that it's not going to go anywhere, even within the same page. He's like, "I love you, Anne, and nasiens, and Donny." And notice how nasiens came first. But with that being... I'm sorry, I should not have done that. But with that being the case, Anne is like, "Don't cling to me that hard." And Percival's like, but why don't, like, what's the issue? And probably prompted by this, on top of the conversation she had with Isolde yesterday, is like, or is that yesterday or this morning? It may have been this morning. Pencil.exe is failing, and I honestly do not care enough to go back and check. So whatever conversation she had with Isolde, she says, "You really need to work on your personal space. Got it? When it comes to women, you need to be more, don't do anything weird with girls." Percival's like, "Weird? What you talking about, baby girl?" He had to whip out the deep voice, like, "What you talking about?" And we see Anne is like, "I suppose your grandfather never taught you the most important rule, did he?" And like, and I'm not defending Percival, because like he, especially considering he is apparently of legal age, he should be in jail under like 30 different counts. Like, I'm not sure who's going to go back through the series so far and count up all the different cases where Percy would be put in jail if he was in the modern era, but someone can, and I'm pretty sure it's at least 30. So that is no excuse of Percival, but like, the first woman he saw was the first woman he saw ever at the age of 16. Bro has been alone on a mountain with a beefy old man all of his life. He don't know nothing about that. He just trying to get in where he fit. And he's trying to make it for lost time. Come on now. But, and I'm not even going to say what Anne says, because once again, this is just, like, have you ever just read something and feel like, yeah, I can't read this? Like, one of those times where it's like, I'm so glad I'm not in public right now. I'm glad I'm at home, because if I were to be caught reading this, I think I would go to jail on 30 counts. But with that being the case, and makes her very definitive declaration of what Percy should and should not be doing with his life. And Percy, after a moment of quiet contemplation, is like, and I can't even say what Percy says either. Like, I don't know. Once again, I am old. I'm an old fuddy-duddy. So consider me old and cold-hearted, if you will. But the way Percival, like, this is one of the most faces. The most faces? Yes. This is one of the most serious faces Percival has ever made in the entire series. And the reason he's saying it is weird. Like, I get it. It may or may not have made me laugh. I actually genuinely don't remember. I recorded the live reaction a couple days ago. But with that being the case, I genuinely don't remember. But at the same time, dog, the determination should not be this strong. Like, you look more determined to do what you say you want to do than you are determined to get back at Arthur and your father. Like, I know Varghese is either fuming in the capital of the dead or unbelievably proud of you. Probably a mix of both. But with that being the case, we see that Anne is like, yo, stop. Don't talk like that over something so stupid. And we see that, you know, I mean, like, I forget who made the joke, but someone was like, yes, of course, the all-powerful main character, their main weakness, getting slapped by the weakest person in their group. And it is true, because Anne does put Percy on a spin cycle with a slap, and it's like, don't do that, or people will start questioning our honor as the Percival platoon. And we see people are already questioning their honor as the Percival platoon, as people are laughing at Anne for abusing their leader. And with that being the case, Percy's like, alright, I'm sorry for all the wrongs I've done. I'll stop. And it's like, oh, perfect, you know, I'm glad you understand. And, like, Percy, and like I drew the I'm pretty sure by the time we get this far into recording, it should be clear which image I chose to draw. Would that be the case? It's like, dude, do you need water? Do you need the enchanted lake? Like, do we need to get you something, man? Because you are perspiring. I get it. No, I don't. I've being isolated for 16 years on top of a rock with nothing but a sweaty old man probably does some things to the mind. But, like, Percival being upset, like, bro looks like he's going into withdrawal. Like, he hasn't even had 5 seconds of making this promise, keeping his word. But in those 5 seconds, bro, he's having itches. He's hankering. It's out of control. Like, bro, dude, it's not. Can I say it's not that deep? Maybe that's wrong on my part. Maybe it is that deep for Percival. Maybe he's really truly dedicated himself to this. But then again, that makes all of Percy's actions darker. Like, I mean, indirectly dark, right? Because it's not like he's doing it because he's like, like, he's not doing it for the reason Meliodas does it. But at the same time, the acts that he's undergoing, he should pretty much realize are wrong. I'm pretty sure Varghese would have taught him something about that. He should know at least a basic human etiquette. And obviously, there should be some basic human etiquette that's being reflected off of him just based on how other people interact. So, I don't know. Percy being manipulated enough here to get Anne to do what he wants is kind of... Once again, like, this whole chapter is just kind of sussy. Like, and by kind of, I mean very. This chapter is very sussy. And we see that due to the despair and the withdrawals that Percy is going through, Anne is like, fine, whatever. I get it. And Percy's like, get what? What do you get? I'm glad. Please, let me know. And I don't know. It's still weird. Like I'm sorry for all the people who this is for. I'm happy for you. I'm through the moon. Like, I'm literally tap dancing and shucking and jiving in my boots right now for you guys. But for me, this stuff is weird. I love the voice act stuff. I cannot read this. What Anne says is weird and nasty and disgusting, and Percy's reaction is way too eager. Way too eager, bro. It is not that deep. It's simply not that deep. And, like, the thing is, I get it. It's all for a good... I'm pretty sure 99.9% of this is for a joke. Like, you can even tell by the phrasing of it. Like, Percy says, can we do it right now? Here, in public, with people watching? Like, dude. Like, NAKABA, I see what you're doing here, bro. But at the same time, it's still just weird. It's very, very weird. And like, Ian even acknowledges the fact that she was just straight up manipulated, because she's like, well, that was oddly fast. Yeah, it was, because he was playing with you, and now he's going. Let me not. See, that's the thing. I can't even make half the jokes I make. Like, give me a 4-year time skip already. Give me a 4-year time skip, and I will let the jokes. I will unload. Percival probably wants to unload everything, but regardless of that, until that point, this is just weird. This is weird, and I can't make these jokes. However, with that being said, we see that Percival wastes absolutely no time, and he gets in where he. I'm stopping the recording. You know, after sitting back, stopping the recording, and thinking for about 15 years, I've come back, and it's still weird. Alright, so there's literally nothing that changes. However, with that being the case, the main thing that hurts me, like, stabs me straight in the heart, and, like, just slowly but surely eats away at my remaining life force, is the unspoken, unbelievable, insane, in the membrane, multiversal, multigalactic, omniversal pain that Nasiens is in, bruh. Like, it actively hurts me. Like, you don't even get to see his face here, but just the dropping of the bag and the arms just limp at his side. Like, I genuinely feel bad for Nasiens. And like, I don't know. It just hurts. It hurts. It hurts for my boy. It hurts for my boy. You can tell. He knows what he wants. And unfortunately, what he wants is something he can never have, as he has just seen right before him. And man, that's gotta suck. Like, once again, out of any one of our original main cast, and that means, when I say original main cast, I mean Lance, Percy, and Donny, and Nasiens. If there's anyone I believe 100% of the time is going to die for Percy's character development, it is going to be Nasiens. Just simple as that. I don't think there's any other path we can walk down. I don't think there's another way. Because Donny has ties to previous characters, and Anne is Percy's love interest. And I'm sorry, as great as NAKABA is at breaking our ankles, I don't think he's going to get rid of either of them. At least not the love interest. Maybe Donny could be on the chopping block too, but not the love interest. So in that case, man, I can see it already. It's a decisive battle against the forces of chaos, and everyone is running low on steam and tired out. Nasiens jumps in the way of a definitive attack that would have ended Percival, and then on his deathbed, he proclaims his love for Percival, and dies. And Percival gets a death amp, and a hope amp, and a friendship amp like never seen before. But it's far too late for the boy who could never find love. Big rips to Nasiens, even though he ain't dead yet. But regardless, let's keep it pushing. Let's keep it moving to another part of the kingdom. And we cut away to someone talking about the beauty of Leonis. In fact, let me just go word for word, bar for bar. Leonis, if you look closely, it is quite a beautiful kingdom. Of course, my own hometown. Interesting, not home kingdom. We'll talk about that later. But also, my own hometown is a beautiful place. Someday, I wish to show you my home, standing on the shore of a lake surrounded by beautiful trees. You must simply have my granny's pudding while we watch the full moon reflected in the lake. No, with you, I need nothing else but time. Let us join in each other's soft embrace and create a passionate poem filled with appreciation for the lovely scenery. And, yo, I ain't even gonna lie to you. This will work on me. Like, that is different. That is different. I ain't even gonna say. Like, that's crazy. That is indeed insane. And that is unbelievably wild. But, you know who's saying it. You know, it's Gawain, right? And you know who she's saying it to. It's Isolde, right? But, you know, the thing is, right? Isolde is looking down. And Gawain is looking level. So, Gawain is not in her pig form right now. And you can see that in reality, as Gawain is spitting some of the finest romantic bars I've heard in literally the entire series, like out of the, with being on chapter 86, the whole Four Knights / Seven Deadly Sins anthology is over 400 chapters long at this point. So out of the entire Seven Deadly Sins pantheon of chapters, some of the best romantic bars in a series that's shockingly quite surrounded about romance, and Gawain just missing because she's still too small. Like, once again, her size keeps varying. I'm not exactly sure what it officially is supposed to be, but she is at least taller than Tristan's waist. But Tristan is what, like 5'6", if that. Bro is also very tiny. Like, once again, how big is Isolde? Hold on, let me Google something. Okay, so Tristan is like 5'5". That's his height. And Gawain is about a little over half his height. And Isolde, like, Tristan barely reaches above her waist, and she's not even wearing heels or anything like that. Isolde is a giant. But, like, a giant, because Tristan being 5'5", like, that's more than a 6-inch gap in terms of from the top of Tristan's head to the top of Isolde's head. She's tall. So, of course, with her eyesight being downward, she's just slurping in the sight of Tristan as Gawain is swinging to no avail. And once again, I eternally ask this: what's the deal with Gawain? Is she just small? Does she just not do the big thing unless she's fighting? Like, why is she tiny? And how did she, if this is just her regular state, how did she ever fit in her armor? Did her armor shrink for her to accommodate? Like, I don't know. It's weird that she's still this small. Assumingly in bright daylight, like, there's no reason, like, if she does really have sunshine, she should just be at least a fraction of her regular size. Maybe she's getting taller and I just don't know. Because admittedly, it looked like she may have been smaller earlier in the morning when they were having the meeting. But I don't know. It's strange. I really need elaboration on Gawain, because despite us knowing her for a while now, she's been in the series since, what, the 60s? Despite that, I feel like I know so little about her and her abilities. So, NAKABA, run them by me. However, of course, with Gawain being more than on the back foot, like being genuinely ignored, Isolde asks, "Sir Tristan, are you in good health?" And poor Gawain screams for Lady Isolde, but it's just not happening. And we get very interesting information about Tristan. He says, "It seems becoming a demon is really more trouble than I imagined. My wounds have healed, but it feels like every inch of me is screaming." In pain? In need? Like, what is that? Because I can hypothetically understand why turning into a demon would jack up his biology, because he produces light. The particles that break down demon particles. Like, if his body is probably constantly producing that, so having demonic remnants in him probably sucks. Like, he's constantly kind of low-key existence erasuring himself. But with that being the case, it's weird that is a result of him becoming demon. Especially because, once again, now that we know he's supposedly half human, which is still weird. I don't believe it. I still think he's a quarter human, because Elizabeth is the half human, half goddess. But with that being the case, he still is more demon than goddess. So I'm shocked that his body is, if anything, more accustomed to the goddess powers than the demonic ones. You would think he'd be more reliant and or leaning on his demonic powers, but I guess not. And the thing here that's also weird is just his phrasing. Like, it feels like it seems becoming a demon really is more trouble than I imagined. Which sounds like he never has done it before, which is even weirder. You're telling me out of the 16 years you've been spending in Leonis, your dad didn't be like, "Hey, Tristan, you know what time it is? It's time to go visit Uncle Zal in the demon world. Go train." Like really never once that happened? I'm just expected to believe that Tristan, the half-demon, just went demon mark for the first time the other day? Or yesterday? I don't know. Seems a little bit fishy to me. If you were to ask me, seems a little bit fishy. And with that being the case, Isolde begs Sir Tristan to stop being so reckless, and she's worried that one day they won't be able to call Lancelot, and thusly he won't go back to the way he is. But, like, hypothetically, wouldn't it be better to root that out now while he's still weak? Like, once again, I just assume that demon lifestyle, when you're young and you have access to your burgeoning dark powers, the elder demons just beat the life out of you till you just have control over it. Because, like, it's a necessity. Notably, a lot of the demons that we saw in the previous series, at least the high level ones, were always in demon mark. They treated it like a base state. Some demons like Zeldris had higher levels of power, and Meliodas too, where they could grow their demon mark and access more and more of their dark strength. But like, some of it was at least a necessity across all clan members, even non-demons like Esterosa, well, technically a Gother, yeah, and Gloxinia and Droll. They all had their marks out all at the same time, and they were all just passively existing like that. And they were much less demon than Tristan is. So I think it's important to actually get it under control now. And we see that Isol, the main reason she's so worried about him is because she just worries for him so much. Her chest is about to burst. And Gawain, at the thought of a chest bursting, is like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Gawain. But we see that apparently Tristan, like, didn't 100% willingly transform into Demon Tristan. It was just the sight of Meligaland knocking down Isolde. It just broke something in him. I thought he was asleep. Hold on, I'll be right back. So I don't know, I took a quick, like, leap back to chapter 75, and it at least appears his eyes were closed, but maybe he wasn't asleep. Maybe he heard Isolde get knocked down and was like, blah, 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 and went all Tasmanian Devil on the two demons. But with that being the case, we see that apparently Isolde believes that the Tristan platoon is there to protect Sir Tristan, so they don't want him to risk himself like that ever again. But, in the same vein that the Holy Knights guarding the castle for Meliodas are quite literally leagues and bounds weaker than him, it's the same case with Tristan and the rest of his platoon. You are leagues and bounds weaker than this man. He's going to be the one protecting you for the most part. And we see that Tristan 100% believes this too. He's like, hey, Isolde, sweetheart, I'm glad you feel this way, but may I refuse? Huh? All of us are partners. None of us are above or beneath each other. And that's just, like, fundamentally wrong. Like, in multiple ways. Like, you are the prince of their kingdom, so you're higher than them in that way. And also, just in raw stats, you eclipse them completely. But, you know, a little bit of idealism goes a long way. So, maybe I shouldn't be too hard on Tristan for that. However, we see that even Gawain is like, you know, Gawain and me, we just be on the same wavelength, despite her literally being as tall as my calf. But, like, she goes on to say, such a naive prince. You don't seem to understand your position. Like, in multiple ways. His position in a romantic sense relative to Isolde, his position as a prince relative to Isolde, his position as a half-demon, goddess-human hybrid relative to Isolde. Like, bro, you're just different, Tristan. I hate to say it. Like, once again, you probably should be the strongest in the verse, but you just aren't. You just aren't yet. Hope maybe in the future you'll somehow grow and develop a new level of strength, but at least for right now, Lance negs. But with that being the case, we do get to see that the main people who inspired this, like, equality sentiment in Tristan is not just anybody. It is the legendary 7 deadly sins. And as was hinted at the end of the last series, Tristan's main goal is to be just like them. Truly be a group of people from different backgrounds, different origins, different birthplaces, different statuses, and to come together and be great people and be great heroes. And it really makes me wonder, does he realize that Merlin is now evil? And Escanor is now dead. So, like, the rest, yeah, sure, that's fine. That's 100% fine. But, one's a pack, and the other smoked said pack. So I'm not sure. However, with that being the case, essentially Tristan wants to form the 10 deadly sins. I'm not sure what it would be, because 4 knights, 3 and 3 platoons. So what would this squadron be called? Like, you can't call them the Round Table because that's Arthur's thing. So I have no idea. But however, with that being the case, Isolde realizes that Nani Daisuke so Tristan could, and obviously kneels and is like,
as you command. Sir Tristan thinks of me as all people, as an important friend and companion. As long as I dedicate my life to him, I don't need anything else. Even if my feelings don't reach you, or even if you don't see me as a woman, I don't care.
Like, you could just say it. Like, personally, just as an individual, I never necessarily got that. Like, okay, you like somebody, tell them. Like, I get maybe there's a time and place for everything, but I don't know. This seems to have been going on for a while. And based on his reaction to you getting slumped, I think just maybe, possibly, in a roundabout way, he might have a little bit of interest in you. So I think Isolde is just worthy. Like, maybe you should just shoot your shot. Who knows? Maybe miraculous things can happen, and you'd lose a little gremlin. However, another interesting thing is, like, Isolde's like, I need nothing else in life. Really? No paychecks? No bread? No literal bread as in food? Like really? I think you need a little bit more than that. However, with that being the case, Tristan's like, oh, wait a second. You're on your knees. Perfect. Hold that pose. And no, it's not like that. I promise. NAKABA didn't go that far. He went too far already, but he didn't go that far. And we see that Tristan walks up and places a fresh new ribbon on top of Isolde's domer. And he's like, there, perfect. And Isolde's like, and Tristan's like, yes, Isolde, that's exactly correct. It's a new ribbon. A ribbon really does suit you. You look so cute. Like, is it? Yeah, like, I don't know, because I always take things from, like, the most dark and destructive angle whenever it comes to NAKABA, because I can trust him as far as I can throw him. But, like, Tristan really is customizing his girl right now. He said, here, put this on. It'll make you look better. And I know it's not like that at all, but I find it hilarious. And we see Isolde just through the moon, like, Sir Tristan good. I'm sorry. But with that being the case, we see that Isolde's like, due to just her dedication, she's like, but is it really fair if I'm the only one who gets one? And Tristan says, good point. Maybe I should get Chion and Jade one too. And like, I am not sure, but Chion in a bow ribbon with a rabbit ears ribbon actually just sends me so far around the planet that I'm back to try not to laugh. Like, can you imagine? As he's talking smack to Lancelot, he just has a bow tied around his head. Just the whole ribbon as he's talking smack. I'd love it. Oh, I'd love it. But we don't love Jade. Jade's ugly though. But with that being the case, with that being the firm, solid case, Gawain is like, you stupid. You just dumb stupid. Like, I can't believe you are this stupid. And notably, I can't even blame Gawain. Like, for someone who I didn't think was going to be that socially attuned, she's very socially attuned. She can already tell the mutual interest on both of their sides, yet neither of them are really speaking to each other, which is utterly hilarious. I think the whole reason Gawain isn't being taken seriously right now is just because she's so small, like, legitimately even smaller than Percy. So, yeah, until she gets her glow up, which I still don't know how she's going to do at this point, I think she's going to be stuck making jokes, or being a joke. However, with that being the case, Gawain is like, forget this, you know what, I'm done. I obviously ain't getting Lady Isolde no time soon. There ain't no point for me to be here. Deuces, I'm going back to bed, and once I do, you two can speak of love, take each other chastity, do whatever. I don't really care. And, that's a little bit wild. Gawain, what was Grandma teaching you about chastity? But with that being the case, Tristan is just more confused, and Isolde, now with the revelation from Anne yesterday, is like, oh no, my good. And we do one more juicy final cut, and it's to Lancelot. And my thing here, right, is that, like, Lance, this is admittedly the one weakness, bro. Like, this is hands down, verbatim, word for word, bar for bar, the one weakness you have as a character, bro. Why? Why? Like, it couldn't be anyone else. Because you know what he's sitting there waiting for? He's waiting for Guinevere, the 12-year-old that assaulted him. Yeah, I don't know. I get it, Lance. It was, I guess, a lonely 3 years. And obviously, you've been a fox for a while, so who knows what that does to you. But dude, it is not worth it, like, at all. Like, Lance call I guess I was gonna say Lance call the police, but Lance is the police. But seriously, Lance, why? You couldn't just spend the day with Percy and gang? Like, you were happy to see them earlier. Do you really have to go with Gwen? But of course, Gwen with her, I'm assuming, consistent future sight. Like, I remember rationalizing it as she can see all time at once, which is why she explains that she already knows Lance and everything that Lance is going to tell her later, because it technically already happened to her in the grand scheme of the timeline. With that being the case, she appears and sings songs Lance's voice. And notably, this at least implies that either A, Ironside didn't pick up Arthur's wife yet, which is supposed to be Guinevere, or B, and I think is more likely, Ironside just got the wrong one. Like, I feel like there's going to be some poor maiden that ended up getting kidnapped by Ironside that's like, I have no idea what you're talking about, what you need me for, and please let me go. And can't wait for Arthur to just be like, Ironside? She's too old. No, I'm kidding. Well, I'm not. Knowing Arthur, I'm not. However, with that being the case, Guinevere is so happy to see Arthur. Not Arthur. Oh, she's not going to be happy to see Arthur. But she's so happy to see Lancelot. And Lance, he tries to play it cool. He tries to look off and is like, whatever. I knew you'd come to see me. Is that all right? And Gawain is like, Gwen, so many G's. But Gwen is like, oh, of course. And it's still creepy because she's 12. None of you have yet to justify that to me. And none of you ever will either. I still don't think it's possible. I don't even care if she has the mental fortitude of a 57-year-old. That makes it even worse. It's still weird. It's still just utterly weird. And with that being the case, we see that Gawain is one of the people that Lance ended up interacting with the help of Gwen. And he also ended up meeting Jericho because of Gwen. And Lance, once again, who literally had everything confirmed for him, word for word and bar for bar, asks, like, yo, really, who are you? How did you know this was going to happen? And Gwen says the exact same thing that she said before, which is still nasty. Like, NAKABA, you're weird. I still can't let this slide. It's still just weird. It's just strange. And we see that Gwen takes residence up on Lancelot's back as he's annoyed that she's way too familiar with him. And we see a mysterious man coming behind. Ayo. And the text reads, the two are getting along well. Isn't there something unusual about it? NAKABA, there's something unusual about this entire chapter. And I'm going to assume, like, there's been a lot of discussion on who this man could be. I'm just gonna say it may be Griamore. Like, I'm assuming Gwen is Griamore's daughter. Like, there's been a whole ton of discussion in the comments over, like, it makes sense. She's royalty from a nearby kingdom. She's visiting Leonis, possibly visiting her grandfather. Yeah, it would make sense if Gwen ended up being... But then again, why wouldn't she stay in the castle if she really was, like, pseudo-Leonis royalty? I don't know. Regardless, I don't think this man is going to do anything. Unless this is Ironside. If this is Ironside... Then again, I feel like Lance would be able to recognize Ironside's magical signature. Because it is a skinnier man. The whole reason I feel like it'd be weird if it was Griamore is because Griamore is much bigger. Unless he cut some weight, bro was massive and unbelievably beefy. Unless this is Drafe, but Dreyfus... I mean, it could be Dreyfus. Dreyfus isn't necessarily too tan in the manga. So, it could be Dreyfus just coming along to check on his granddaughter, because that's his grandkid too. So, I don't know. I don't think anything bad is going to happen here. Once again, with Lance's position in the verse right now, I highly doubt anything too bad can happen to him. Though I can see Guinevere getting snatched away. And I hope it does, because it's weird. Overall, the chapter is like... It's just weird. I don't know. Like, word for word, it's just weird. I can't necessarily say I'm too fond of what it's setting up. Like, pretty much all these characters were already previously established to be love interests. So having a whole chapter reestablishing them all as love interests feels kind of redundant and pointless, considering what we have to do and reach and build up to. I don't know. It feels weird and kind of repetitive, kind of redundant, and especially weird. So I don't know. It was aight. However, that's what I think. Please let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you're to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that notification bell to miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, hit it down below. Is more for as low as $1 a month. Exclusive videos, early content, and more. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.